What's going on, guys? My name is Mike Bachman, and welcome back to the Mike Bachman Sports Channel. The 2021 NASCAR season kicked off on Tuesday with the running of the Busch Clash from the Daytona Road Course, and what an exciting race it was. Kyle Busch took home the checkered flag after leaders Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott got together in the final chicane. We also had the running of the duels, which were filled with action, each in their own right, and let me tell you, if those duels showed us anything, we should be in for a treat on Sunday. But that is not what we will be talking about today. Today, I'll be unveiling my official Cup Series playoff predictions. And every year that I do this, I feel like it gets more and more difficult because of the depth of talent that continues to walk around the NASCAR garage. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be talking NASCAR every single week, both on this channel and on the Hard Charging podcast. That podcast drops every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern on all streaming platforms. We are dropping the hammer this Tuesday for the debut episode, so you are not going to want to miss it. Be sure to tune in for that. I'll be posting segments of the podcast as well as some extra content for you guys here on this channel. So to be the first to know when all of that is released, subscribe. It's free and it helps me out. I truly appreciate it. But that's enough of that. Wanted to get the housekeeping out of the way just briefly before we get started. And now, let's get this engine fired, shall we? 16 eligible drivers. We're going to go driver by driver, break each one of them down, starting with what I would like to call the obvious favorites. And we're going to start with none other than the man who should have, and I think a lot of people thought was going to win the championship last year, Kevin Harvick. Harvick's season last year proved that under this playoff format, no lead is safe. Even as the quote-unquote clear favorite to win the championship throughout most of the season. In 2020, this team led the field in total wins, top fives, top tens, average driver rating, laps led, fastest laps running, still didn't make the championship for. I mean, it's crazy. At 45 years old, though, Harvick is now the elder statesman in the NASCAR garage, and this Ford team is going to be driving with a chip on their shoulder in 2021, and they will remain at the top this year. Just below him, the man who was giving him a run for his money last year, Denny Hamlin. 2020, yet another typical Denny Hamlin season we're so used to seeing. Posted his most wins in a season since 2010, but came up short once again in the championship. The 39-year-old still searches for that first championship. He should be set up for another great opportunity this year. And now we go to our defending series champion, Chase Elliott. Last year posted a career high in wins, top fives, and top tens. And with 7 road courses on the schedule this year, Chase has the potential to, I think, build on those numbers substantially. And now we see Hendrick Motorsports, I think, finally finding its identity. It will be Chase Elliott leading this organization once again. Right behind him, we have Brad Keselowski. A runner-up finish for Keselowski in the 2020 standings should have this team, I'd say, pretty motivated for 2021. After signing the extension with Team Penske last year, Keselowski's looking to flip that second place in the standings into a second Cup Series championship. We have Martin Truex Jr. MTJ is coming off his worst season since joining the Toyota camp in 2017, but I expect this relationship with crew chief James Small to really mold together in year number 2. It's extremely difficult, especially with the amount of success that MTJ had with crew chief Cole Pearn, now working with a new spotter as well this year. And we've talked about how the abundance of road courses favors Chase Elliott. Well, I say it favors Truex just as much. He'll contend for his second championship in 2021. Joey Logano is coming off a season with the majority of his success coming on the bookends of it, and after winning 2 of the first 4 races, he had most of the momentum going into the meat of the season, but obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, the hiatus, putting a wrench into things, Logano went winless until the playoff race at Kansas last year. This team's going to have to find a little more winning speed to be there at the end in Phoenix, but I think Logano is poised for yet another solid year. And finally, the last driver that I'll throw in this category as an obvious favorite for a playoff berth is Kyle Busch. And listen, dude, despite the fact that Rowdy didn't win until race number 34, I think it was last year, there's no reason why Kyle Busch does not belong in this category. You're looking at a driver who has never gone winless in his Cup Series career. He's never had a season where he's never won a race before. 16 straight years. New crew chief atop the pit box in Ben Bayshore. May take some time for that relationship to come together, much like James Smalls with Martin Truex Jr. last year, but I think Kyle Busch still should be continued as a playoff favorite. There is no doubt about it in my mind. So 7 spots taken, only 9 remain. I think these next 4 drivers probably don't have much to worry about during the regular season, but in my opinion, this is their quote-unquote make it or break it year. And I want to start with Ryan Blaney. Throughout Ryan Blaney's career, I feel like we keep telling ourselves at the beginning of every season, this is it. This is the year that Ryan Blaney is going to contend for a title and really break through, make a name for himself. Well, we're still waiting for Blaney to win multiple races in a season. And Ryan Blaney, this 12 team, historically, they were fast in 2020. They had speed in 2019. The team last year finished 5th in the fastest laps run, but they need to win. They're not winning. 2021 needs to be about minimizing mistakes and winning races. Otherwise, Blaney's going to find himself in treacherous territory once again, and he's going to continue to underperform. I find Alex Bowman in a similar situation, might be under the most pressure of any driver in 2021, because not only does he have the pressure to carry the 48 car back to victory lane, something that hasn't been done since 2016, but I feel like he has to make a deep playoff run this year. He proved he could do it, finishing 6th in the final standings last year, and similarly to Blaney, must win multiple races. He's the new face of Ally Financial. He's got to convince them to stick around in a contract year. Alex Bowman needs to come through this year. From two of the younger guys to now one of the more consistent veteran drivers, Eric Almirola. He set a career high in top 5s and top 10s in 2020, and many thought that Almirola could top 10 his way to the championship 4 after scoring 9 straight in the meat of the season. When that's not possible. Kevin Harvick couldn't even make it with 9 wins. So this team, they prove they have the speed, they prove they have the consistency. Now they just got to prove that they can win. And finally, the last driver that I think is their make it or break it year is William Byron. And Byron finally broke through, scored his first career victory in 2020, but that was about as good as it got for the 22-year-old. With Chad Knaus taking over a managerial role at Hendrick Motorsports, Rudy Fugle will take over as crew chief for the 24 car. It will be a welcome sight, I think, for Byron, who is still trying to find his footing in the Cup Series, but regardless, year number 4, time to start winning races, man. And here is where things get just a little more interesting. These spots will be up for grabs, I think, for the majority of the season. I constantly went back and forth on these, I felt like, but here are the final 5 drivers that will make it into the 16-car playoff, starting with Kurt Busch. And since joining Chip Ganassi Racing in 2019, Kurt Busch has been the epitome of consistency. And you couple that with the aggressiveness of crew chief Matt McCall, and this one team will be searching for some of that magic this year. Many are speculating whether or not Kurt Busch will hang it up after 2021. Is this the last year? I think he'll continue to show speed and fight for what may be his final shot at a championship. I think this one team, their consistency, they'll show enough speed to make it into the playoffs. The next spot's got to go to my man Matt DiBenedetto. After going winless in his first season with the Wood Brothers, Matty D was able to secure his first career playoff berth, but it's probably going to be one he's going to want to forget. Probably has forgotten about it already. And now it's not helping DiBenedetto's case with the rise of Austin Cindric, so this puts even more pressure on the young man. So at the very least, he's got to make the playoffs if he wants to secure a ride for next season. But I'll tell you, getting that first career win at a 100-team victory would be pretty damn sweet. Give the next spot to Christopher Bell. The 20 car gets its driver of the future, and I believe that Bell will take this 20 car back to the playoffs. Not only does he get an equipment upgrade, but he gets paired with arguably the best crew chief in the garage in Adam Stevens. This 20 team needed a complete overhaul to compete with other Gibbs cars and to make sure that they were contending, and that's exactly what they got this year. I think Christopher Bell has the potential to be the breakout driver of the year and bring some relevance back to this 20 car. Now with only 2 spots left, there are a ton of big names that I have not mentioned yet, but here we go. Securing the 15th spot on the playoff grid is Kyle Larson. Now, Larson's road back to the Cup Series has been well documented and now finds himself in the best equipment of his career, but I see people crowning Larson as a championship contender after not being in a stock car for almost a full year. I don't care how talented the kid is. There are 28 races this year that will be one-day shows. Larson has never raced under those conditions in NASCAR, no practice, no qualifying, and not to mention, he's inheriting Jimmy Johnson's car and crew, a car that hasn't made the playoffs in 2 years with a crew chief that has never won a race or made the playoffs. It's going to take time, and I really think it will, before I feel that Larson will be able to show us what he's got. Great driver, but this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I do have him making the playoffs, but I don't think his performance on the track this year is going to be as polished as people think. And finally, we've made it to number 16. And after careful and long thought, rounding out my playoff grid is the 3 of Austin Dillon. Now, Austin Dillon, I don't think a lot of people realize, has made 4 of the past 5 playoffs. And Austin Dillon's career up to this point has been extremely underwhelming. I don't think there's no denying that. RCR hasn't necessarily been great since Kevin Harvick left in 2013 either. But Austin Dillon showed a lot of promise last year, scoring that win at Texas, running consistently in the top 10 on short tracks. We remember that incredible performance at Richmond last year, but Austin's proved to be garbage. Absolute dirt on road courses. Not one top 10 to his credit on that type of track, and with 7 on the schedule this year, it'll be a tough task, but I think his pairing with crew chief Justin Alexander has proven to be successful. I think RCR is in a good spot, and I think that the 3 car will be there at the end of the regular season. So that's my 16. With Clint Bowyer retiring, there's only one active driver who made the playoffs last year that will not make it in 2021, and that's Cole Custer. Cole Custer, listen, was a great story last year after winning as a rookie, but without that win in Kentucky, guy wouldn't even been mentioned in the playoffs. This team needs to put together consistent races to be in the running, but I think he's going to come up short in the end. I also do not believe that his SHR teammate and Rookie of the Year contender Chase Briscoe will make the playoffs. Briscoe dominated the Xfinity Series last year, winning a series-high 9 races, and I think a lot of people wouldn't be surprised if Briscoe did win a race or make the playoffs. I just think that in today's era of NASCAR, with the abundance of talent that we see and the continued dominance of veterans in terms of winning races, it's going to be difficult for Briscoe to really make that immediate impact on the track. And who knows? Maybe he'll surprise me. I hope he does, but that's just my gut feeling at this point. And now to address what people probably think is the biggest playoff snub, Bubba Wallace. Here's the deal. 2311 Racing has been the story of silly season, right? And rightly so. Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the abundance of sponsorship, all the hype surrounding this brand new operation. It's all great. The team fully equipped with all the resources it needs to be great. But Bubba's talent's still in question. Spoke to the media a week or so ago. It's set the bar for himself. 2 wins. That's what it takes this year. Personally, I think Bubba's setting the bar way too high. Obviously, he's confident in this team's ability. That's awesome. I love his swag. I love his confidence. I love everything about him, but I don't want it to bite him in the ass if this team doesn't clutch up. Do I think Bubba's going to be competitive this year? Absolutely. I hope this team is a consistent top 10 threat every week. I think they have the potential to be. And I think there's potential for Bubba to squeak out a super speedway win. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I feel like they will be on that playoff bubble towards the end of the regular season, and it will be challenging to compete in the playoffs. So I do not have the 23 car in Bubba Wallace in the playoffs. And the final drivers that I'll mention that are missing the cut are guys like Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, and Eric Jones. Reddick, I don't think is going to take off in year 2, and Chastain, Suarez, and Eric Jones, all in new environments. I think it's important for Daniel Suarez to get back in the top 20 in points, maybe show some speed in that new Team Trackhouse machine. It's gorgeous, by the way. Probably one of the most beautiful cars on the track this year. I'm not really sure what we're getting in Ross Chastain. That entire 42 team is sort of an enigma at this point. And Eric Jones, I feel like could challenge for a win at a super speedway, much like Bubba Wallace. But, in the end, the road to the playoffs, I think it's going to be quite slim for these drivers. It's going to be very tough, and, you still have the dominance of the veterans and the rise of some of these younger guys finally looking to break through in the Cup Series. It's getting difficult. But here's a final look at my complete 16 playoff grid. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please absolutely smash that like button and be sure to subscribe for more NASCAR content. Catch me on the Hard Charging Podcast every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're talking NASCAR here, there, Twitter, basically everywhere. I'll leave the links to those social accounts in the description. And again, be sure to tune in for the debut episode of the Hard Charging Podcast this Tuesday, February 16th, 10 a.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it. That's about all I have to say on that. Keep your foot to the floor, leave all the BS out the door, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.